So I was talking about the end of a kind of shared reality in my last video, and I did say that, and I think we all agree that, you know, we don't get our information from the same places. That truth has no traction like it used to do and has done for the last 300 or 400 years. It's been kind of the essential tool in our modern toolbox for us to build a better world. But of course, that's all been thrown out now. And we're in a situation where more and more we're being pulled away from reality. And when I mean reality, I'm just talking about the world as it really is, into kind of virtual worlds. And we kind of enjoy those virtual worlds. I mean, how many videos have I made about the nature of the smartphone and how it's pulled our attention away from our own children, our newborn babies, our beloved pets, and how even those things cannot compete with the smartphone. But, you know, you have to look at the other video, the one I just made, to get the background on the concept of this shared reality and the sort of things that I talked about. So I did say that I would kind of conclude that by saying that what does the future look like when nobody exists within the same reality realm as anybody else? How does things look? It ain't a pretty sight, but it's just my opinion. And I may be wrong, who knows? But it's pretty bleak. And this is not like a happy Christmas message. Maybe I'll do a nice happy Christmas message tomorrow, which is Christmas Eve. I don't know what I'll say in that. I just refuse to go down the line of pretending that everything is okay and everything's going to be great and things aren't as bad as they seem, because I simply don't believe that. That's not my core philosophy. My core philosophy is that the greatest way forward is to accept the fact that that each and every one of us lives a form of tragedy. But this is neither the place nor the time. And I think my Christmas message, well, I guess I'll have to just introduce, you know, a really wonderful coping strategy for 2026 or something. I certainly won't be promising, like many people do, salvation. Okay, so what does the future look like when nobody exists within the same reality frame as anybody else, which is already happening? We know it's happening because we know how our friends have gone off in tangents into weird places where we can no longer associate with them. That on top of the fact that there are now a dozen tech companies which have now devolved the human species from their essential humanness. This is why you have men in bedrooms who don't know what it's like to have a relationship, because they have a relationship online with their AI sex bots and their pornography. And this is why we have a society where people don't really have friends or contact, but they have friends online, either through Reddit or if you're an old guy, maybe through Facebook. But the point remains that that we're being devolved from our very essential humanness. Humanity fragmenting. So it is going to be a post-human world. That's what we envisage. So when nobody has any concept of truth at all, when everybody lives in their own reality bubbles or virtual reality bubbles, and everything has fragmented, I guess we would become a kind of semi-tribal again, insofar as we would live within our own ecosystems. Okay, so the actual nature of the world as a whole means nothing. There cannot be any future because we cannot envisage a shared vision of what the future will look like and what we want, because we will live as we already do in our tiny ecosystems. I live in a little tiny ecosystem, and I'm sure you do. I don't know what yours comprises of. But mine, I'm afraid, is the, the typical kind of, I guess, Well, it's less and less so now, but traditionally, it's the kind of what you would say would be the loony left crazy bubble. I occasionally listen to Radio 4, or I occasionally read The Guardian, and that kind of thing. And so, I guess that would be my bubble. Most of my friends, I think, have gone off into really peculiar tangents, either conspiracy theories derived out of COVID. Many of them have gone that way. Or they have turned to spirituality of one sort or another. Or they've suddenly decided to worship a Mother Earth, and whatever. And good luck to them. Good luck to them. But they have evolved away from my particular ecosystem into one of their own. So we don't have any group identity anymore. We're going to be constantly outraged, of course, because that's all we know. I think they call it bait rage. So we live in our own little ecosystems, and we will constantly need feeding with a kind of rage against others that live in other ecosystems. We won't know anything about these other ecosystems. We will not have any actual relationship with anybody in these other ecosystems, but we will despise and hate these other ecosystems. We will, in effect, identify ourselves largely by our outrage. We will feel certain that we are somehow God's people, and that all others are sinners. Yes, it comes back to something as ridiculous as that. We will assume that everything is a lie, except that which happens within our own ecosystem. Now, for some people, the ecosystem will not actually extend beyond their own mind. And some people may even believe in Rupert Sheldrake's idea of the extended mind. Rupert Sheldrake, for any of you who don't know, was a scientist who, like everybody else, or almost everybody else, has gone mad, and now kind of believes in a kind of anti-science which he promotes throughout the world. And one of his beliefs, of many, is the science of the extended mind. He believes the mind extends outside of the skull into the surrounding area. I'm not going to go down that route and talk about that. So we will assume that everything is a lie and everything is fake, except that nugget that we believe in. So this is what we will do. Every story we are told, every narrative we come across, every narrative we generate will reinforce our own mini eco-belief system, and it will alienate and distinguish ourselves from everything else. So it ain't going to be pleasant. And this is just what's happening to the human mind. I mean, this is and our belief system, and the ditching of truth and reality as a kind of grown-up concept that came out of the Enlightenment. But there you go. And at the same time as this is happening, in parallel, there's going to be the almighty march of technology. I'm sure any of you who are actually engaged in kind of working will probably already be using AI as a kind of daily tool. And we know that data centers are being built all over the world. I think there are 4 or 5 within 100 kilometers of where I'm sitting now, which is surprising because it's not the sort of place you'd expect suddenly large tech cloud bases to be built. But there you go. I guess this is happening everywhere. I think there are 10,000 of them being built. So we're going to become detached. We're going to become cynical, paranoid, but also opportunistic, because of course there's still money to be made. We're going to be living in a hyper-capitalist society, so we will still be monetizing our outrage. We'll be monetizing our ecosystem. There's ways to make money out of everything. In a way, mass discourse is going to disappear off the face of the planet. And and that will be replaced with kind of very small trusted networks, and those networks could even be just yourself. I can see somebody sitting in their room, you know, they have their AI algorithms and they're being fed with the YouTube nonsense or whatever, and they're quite happily living in their bubble, becoming more and more paranoid as the days and the weeks and the months and the years go by, completely devoid of any relationship, devoid of any contact with any other human beings except online in very small networks. We've also got the rise of AI and the sort of technocentric power structures which are going to align with these. And they're going to reinforce these weird micro ecosystems, and ultimately they're going to pretty much do everything for us until our very organic brains are going to atrophy. So we're now in a state where the brain is really ceasing to function as a complex sensory instrument. And instead we're going to just be, well, it's already happening. This isn't even speculative fiction. I mean, this is just what is now, and it's just going to increase a little bit. I mean, I feel like this is a bit like those episodes of Black Mirror, where they seem very fanciful at first, but then you think, well, actually, I've already started doing this. You know, this is already happening. You know, we're only one step away from that dystopian world that Charlie Brooker, the writer of Black Mirror, suggests might be around the corner. So we're on our smartphones. We don't care about our kids. We don't care about our babies. We don't care about our pets. We don't care about anything. We want to monetize ourselves, of course. That's right, because we believe that power is real, money is real. We don't even care what money is in terms of what it will buy us, but we just know that we want it. It's going to be that shallow, and the brain will atrophy. It will stop working, and we will become weak, and we will become pitiful, and we will become emotionally savage. This isn't about emotional intelligence. This is about emotional stupidity, infantilized by technology. It will not become this wonderful tool. It will simply become our master. And this is already happening. Again, I'm not saying anything that isn't really happening now. I'm just trying to tell you how I see things going with the loss of shared reality and the shared knowledge base. And as I've said before, why are we allowing this to happen? Well, it's an extremely complicated, but it's like a perfect storm, isn't it, of events. And also, you can't deny that there is a psychological flaw in the human, because we have to work hard and we have to really strive for progress. We have to really work hard. We have to strive for peace and for good administrative and organisational principles. All of these things require extremely hard work. Watching a man eat a burger is very easy. And that's why that man eating the burger on YouTube is getting like 10, 12 million hits. And he's just one of the 50,000 who do that. And actually sort of striving for knowledge, for reality, for truth, for discourse, in order to try and encourage and fabricate a better society is extremely difficult, hard work, and requires incredible discipline. In fact, doing absolutely nothing also requires discipline. That's why we've always got to be busy and distracting ourselves. So if you think of this as a kind of human implosion, then there are two outcomes. There's the one outcome which would be a kind of positive outcome, I suppose, which is everything falls apart and we rebuild it better. And the other outcome would be everything falls apart, but it maintains its equilibrium as a kind of failed empire. And it just, we become permanently, physically and mentally disabled. Yeah, so if you look at the politics and the movements at the moment, particularly in America. If you look at what Steve Bannon said a couple of days ago, which was that there is absolutely no doubt that Trump will serve a third term. And the guy was said, well, why is that? And he said, because he is a divine, basically he said he was a divine leader, divine, sent from God, to sort out America once and for all, to rid it of its sin. So this is what technology is doing at the same time as these political movements who are opportunistic. What they're doing is they want to accelerate into a new future, and they want to accelerate into a new future without any drag, without any friction. And what's got to go is the ethical dilemma. It's the moral drag that they worry about, the ethical drag. They don't want any of it. Think about it. You want to streamline into a different future without any of the ethics. This is why the Brexit movement and the right wing in the UK is so obsessed with getting rid of the Human Rights Act. It puts a drag on their kind of Ayn Rand style kind of vision, a vision of hierarchy, of the most powerful are the winners, the men, normally the white guys, back in charge, king of the jungle. No drag on this. This was God's way. This is our divine right. It always has been. It always will be. You know, and this is just what's happening. You know, I'm not kind of spinning anything. You know, this is just based on the reality of where we are, with these political movements rubbing alongside these powerful tech companies, of which there are probably only between 6 and 12 that are impacting our post-human future, and they are driving us towards it. Everything that you think of as being important now, you know, any kind of little tiny meaning in your life, or any purpose or any dream, all of that will just be commodified. It will be turned into cash for this small group of either the tech companies or powerful political leaders, the ones that we see today. I'm not predicting anything weird. I don't want to sound like you-know-who that begins with D. I'm not going to mention him. This is all quite obvious, isn't it? And something else will take over. In other words, at the moment we have capitalism as a kind of organic ball that is growing and can't stop moving and enlarging and engorging everything it touches. I know that because I lived half my life in a different era when life was completely different. So I've seen both sides of the coin. And this is going to change shape as it absorbs the technology that we've talked about a lot. A world of emojis instead of communication, a world of symbols, a world of memes, a world of leaders as kind of who will portray themselves and be worshipped as kind of mythical figures of great gods of salvation. We're going back to square one. And despite the technology that's around us, despite AI stealing from us what remains of our humanity, and despite the technology companies finding ways to devolve humans from even contact with each other, and despite all this so-called modern apparatus around us, we've become a sort of ancient, tribal, sordid, disgusting kind of species. We will be interested in knowing anything, actually. We'll be interested in believing something because we need to feed our outrage and we need to feed our little mini microsystems. But we will give up on knowing anything. We don't need to know anything. Why should we know anything? We don't need to know anything. We will want functional truths, things we can work with, things we can monetize, things we can get outrageous about, things we can commodify, that kind of thing. There will be no such thing as society anymore, just as Thatcher predicted. But I don't think even she kind of predicted that it would turn into this. The billions of worlds, the billions of ecosystems that will exist will be incompatible with each other. They will have, like a Venn diagram, I mean, there will be these circles, but some of them will be floating in space on their own. Others will be overlapping a little bit. But there certainly won't be anything coherent, homogeneous. Moving from one bubble to the other will be a terrible shock to your psychology. I mean, you'll be in a room full of strangers.